Peace and greetings to the East to all blue majestic Masons everywhere throughout the universe. I'm Sister Hetshepsut. Tonight I'll be sharing with you one of my favorite Masonic lectures, titled The Qualities of a True Mason. This lecture was written by Brother Manly P. Hall but was adapted by our Grand Master Majesty Mon Tanya and was originally published in 1923 when Brother Manly P. Hall was only 22 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the qualities of a true Mason. Every true Mason has come into the realization that there is but one lodge, that is, the universe, and but one Masonic brotherhood, composed of everything that moves or exists in any of the planes of nature. He realizes that the temple of King Solomon is really the temple of the solar man, the king of the universe manifesting through his three eternal builders. He therefore realizes that his vow of brotherhood is universal, and that mineral, plant, animal, and man are all included in the true Masonic craft. His duty as an elder brother to all the kingdoms of nature beneath him is well understood by the true craftsman, who would rather die than fail in his great obligation. He has dedicated his life upon the altar of his God and is happy and willing to serve the lesser through the powers he has gained from the greater. The mystic Mason, in building the eyes that see behind the apparent ritual, recognizes the oneness of life manifesting through the diversity of form. The true disciple of ancient Masonry has forever given up the worship of personalities. With his greater insight, he realizes that all forms and their position in material affairs are of no importance to him compared to the life which is evolving within. Those who allow appearances or worldly expressions to deter them from their self-appointed tasks are failures in Masonry, because Masonry is an abstract science of spiritual unfoldment. Material prosperity is not the measure of soul growth. The true Mason realizes that behind these diverse forms, there is one connected life principle, the spark of God in all living things. It is this life which he considers when measuring the worth of a brother. It is to this life that he appeals for a recognition of spiritual unity. He realizes that it is the discovery of this spark of unity which makes him a conscious member of the Cosmic Lodge.
Most of all, he must learn to understand that this divine spark shines out as brightly from the body of a foe as it does from the dearest friend. The true Mason has learned to be divinely impersonal in thought, action, and desire. The true Mason is not creed-bound. He realizes with the divine illumination of his lodge that as a Mason, his religion must be universal. Christ, Buddha, or Muhammad. The name means little, for he recognizes only the light and not the bearer. He worships at every shrine, bows before every altar, whether in temple, mosque, or church, realizing with his truer understanding the oneness of all spiritual truth. All true Masons know that only they are heathen who, having great ideals, do not live up to them. They know that all religions are but one story told in diverse ways, for people whose ideals differ, but whose great purpose is in harmony with Masonic ideals. North, east, west, and south stretch the diversities of human thought, and while the ideals of man apparently differ, when all is said and the crystallization of form with its false concepts is swept away, one basic truth remains. All existing things are temple builders, laboring for a single end. No true Mason can be narrow, for his lodge is the divine expression of all broadness. There is no place for little minds in a great work.
The true Mason must develop the powers of observation. He must seek eternally in all the manifestations of nature for the things which he has lost because he failed to work for them. He must become a student of human nature and see in those around him the unfolding and varying expressions of one connected spiritual intelligence. The great spiritual ritual of his lodge is enacted before him in every action of his fellow man. The entire Masonic initiation is an open secret, because anyone can see it played out on the city street corners as well as in the untracked wilderness. The Mason has sworn that every day he will extract from life its message for him and build it into the temple of his God. He seeks to learn the things which will make him of greater service in the divine plan, a better instrument in the hands of the universal architect, who is laboring eternally to unfold life through the medium of living things. The Mason realizes, moreover, that his oaths, taken of his own free will and accord, give him the divine opportunity of being a living tool in the hands of a master workman. The true Mason enters his lodge with one thought uppermost in his mind. How can I, as an individual, be of greater use in the universal plan? What can I do to be worthy to comprehend the mysteries which are unfolded here? How can I build the eyes to see the things which are concealed from those who lack spiritual understanding? The true Mason is supremely unselfish in every expression and application of the powers that have been entrusted to him. No true brother seeks anything only for himself, but unselfishly labors for the good of all. No person who assumes a spiritual obligation for what he can get out of it is worthy of applying for the position of even a water carrier. The true light can only come to those who, asking for nothing, gladly give their all to it. Every Mason knows that a broken promise brings with it a terrible penalty. But let him also realize that his failure to live mentally, spiritually, and morally up to his highest ideals constitutes the greatest of all broken oaths. When a Mason swears that he will devote his life to the building of God's house and then defiles his living temple through the perversion of mental power, emotional force, and active energy, he is breaking a vow which imposes not hours but ages of misery. If he is worthy to be a Mason, he must be great enough to restrain the lower side of his own nature, which is daily murdering his master. He must realize that a misdirected life is a broken vow, and that daily service, purification, and the constructive application of energy is a living invocation which builds within and draws to him the power of the Creator. His life is the only prayer acceptable in the eyes of the Most High. An impure life is a broken trust, a destructive action is a living curse, and a narrow mind is a cable tow around the throat of God. All true Masons know that their work is not secret, but they realize that it must remain unknown to all who do not live the true Masonic life. Yet if the so-called secrets of Freemasonry were shouted from the housetops, the brotherhood would be absolutely safe. For certain spiritual qualities are necessary before the real Masonic secrets can be understood by Masons themselves. Hence it is that the alleged exposures of Freemasonry, printed by the thousands and tens of thousands since the early 1700s down to the present hour, cannot injure the order. They merely reveal the outward forms and ceremonies of Freemasonry. Only those who have been weighed in the balance and found to be true, upright, and square have prepared themselves by their own growth to appreciate the inner meanings of their craft. To the rest of their brothers and sisters inside or outside the lodge, their sacred rituals must remain. As Brother Shakespeare might have said, words, words, words. Within the Mason's own being is concealed the power, which, blazing forth from his purified being, constitutes the lost word of a master Mason. His life is the only password that can get him inside of the true Masonic lodge. His spiritual urge is the true sprig of acacia, which, through the darkness of ignorance, still proves that the spiritual fire is alight. Within himself, he must build those qualities which will make possible his true understanding of the craft. He can show the world only outward forms which mean nothing. The life within is forever concealed until the eye of spirit reveals it. The true Mason realizes charity to be one of the greatest traits that the elder brothers and sisters have unfolded, which means not only properly regulated charity of money, but charity in thought and action. He realizes that all the workmen are not on the same step, but that wherever each may be, he is doing the best he can according to his light. Each true Mason is working with the tools that he has, and he, as a true Mason himself, does not waste his time in criticizing them, but in helping them to improve their tools. Instead of blaming poor tools, let us always blame ourselves for having them. The true Mason does not find fault, and he does not complain, but with malice towards none and charity towards all he seeks to be worthy of his Father's trust. In silence he labors, with compassion he suffers, and if the builders strike him as he seeks to work with them, his last word will be a prayer for them. The greater the Mason and the more advanced in his craft, the more fatherly he grows, with the walls of his lodge broadening out until all living things are sheltered and guarded within the blue folds of his cape. From laboring with the few, he seeks to assist all, realizing with his broader understanding the weaknesses of others but the strength of right. A true Mason is not proud of his position. He is not puffed up by his honor, but with a sinking heart is eternally ashamed of his own place, realizing that it is far below the standard of his craft. The farther he travels, the more he realizes that he is standing on slippery places and that if he allows himself for one moment to lose his simplicity and humbleness, a fall is inevitable. A true Mason never feels himself worthy of his craft. A student may stand on the top of Fool's Mountain, self-satisfied in his position, but the true Mason is always noted for his simplicity. A true Mason cannot be elected through voting. A true Mason is evolved through ages of self-purification and spiritual transformation. There are millions of Masons who are Masons in name only, because their failure to exemplify the ideals of their craft makes them unresponsive to the teachings and purpose of Freemasonry. The true Masonic way of life forms the first key of the Masonic temple, and without this key, none of the doors can be opened. When this fact is better realized and lived, Freemasonry will awaken and speak the word that has been lost for so long, and the ancient wisdom so long concealed will rise from the ruins of its temple as the greatest spiritual truth yet revealed to man. The true Mason recognizes the value of seeking for truth wherever he can find it. It makes no difference to him if it be within the enemy's camp. If it be truth, he will go there gladly to find it. The Masonic Lodge is universal. Therefore, all true Masons will seek through the extremities of creation for their light. The true brother or sister of the craft knows and applies one great paradox. They must search for the high things in lowly places and find the lowly things in high places. The Mason who feels holier than his fellow man has raised a barrier around himself through which no light can pass, for the one who in truth is the greatest is the servant of all. Many brothers make a great mistake in building a wall around their secrets because they only succeed in shutting out their own light. Their divine opportunity is at hand. The time has come when the world needs the ancient wisdom like never before. Let the true Mason stand forth, and by living the teachings which he preaches show to his brother man the glory of his work. He holds the keys to truth. Let him unlock the door, and with his life and not his words preach the doctrine which he has so long professed. The fatherhood of God and the brotherhood of man are united in the completion of the building of King Solomon's temple, the great work for which all things came into being, and through which all things shall glorify the universal architect. On the square.